Hello, welcome to Todd Miller TV, joined here today with Kristian Peter from San Diego.
Yep.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Todd.
All right. So Kristian did in San Diego, we did in Vegas. As a matter of fact, you were #1 in San Diego, right?
#1.
A lot of houses sold.
Thousands.
Okay. So he's a very experienced practitioner, and so what I wanted to do was share some of his insight into agent ratings, because right now that's the big thing in the industry. You know, Zillow and Realtor.com have all tried to rank agents. They have all these weird things. You know, how many houses you sold in the last 6 months? They show you on their, you know, by zip code on the thing. But ultimately, they've sort of nosedived. Like both of those attempts to rank agents have nosedived.
That's true.
Why do you think that it's very difficult to rank, you know, 10,000 agents and say this is the best, this is second best? Like, why is that hard?
First off, ranking anything is very subjective. So,
okay, so subjective.
Yeah, I think that if you're looking to rank somebody, how do you gather your criteria? Who are you getting it from? I mean, who's the person that's actually ranking the agent? Is it the buyer, and are they only ranking the buyer's agent? And then on the listing side, is the seller only ranking the listing agent? You know, if the seller was ranking the buyer's agent, well, they're going to give them really bad reviews, because that buyer's agent is usually going to be the one who's trying to get a better deal for their buyer.
So the consumer never writes a rating on the other agent. Correct. Only on their agent, usually.
How can you? Yeah, it's impossible to have somebody who's not being represented get ranked from a third party. That's like talking to a sports team and saying, okay, Kobe Bryant got a $250 million contract. His agent's happy. The Lakers might not be so happy because they had to shell out $250 million for, you know, the player.
The agent's probably happy too.
Agent's got his 10%. He's loving that.
Okay.
So, but agent ratings are very subjective. I mean, if I hire somebody to work for me, am I ever going to say that they did a bad job?
Okay. So these are like when you see stars, and you know an agent has 37 reviews, they're all 5 stars. A lot of times they're like they're biased, right? They're either, you know, people that they like. You're not an agent. If the agent does a bad transaction and the people hate the agent, that agent's not going to call that person on the phone and go, "Hey, I know we didn't have a good transaction, but here's a link to my Zillow reviews. Will you rank me and, you know, give me whatever stars you feel are appropriate?" Agent's not going to call and tell them that.
Definitely. I mean, you're not going to get somebody who says, "Yeah, come give me a bad review." I mean, basically, that's never going to happen. Second off, you know, as I was talking to you about, even if I have a little bit of a bad experience with you, am I gonna jeopardize our relationship and say, "Guy, you know, Todd, I think you're a 2 out of 5." Yeah. No, I'm gonna say, "Todd, you're a great guy. I mean, I still want to be your friend. I still like you personally. Therefore, I'm gonna give you your 5-star review."
Okay.
So, you know, it's very hard to get somebody to give you an honest and open answer, especially if their profile is tied to that review. So if it says Kristian ranked Todd, well, then you're going to know, okay, I got a bad review from my friend here, or supposedly used to be my friend. I want to be anonymous, right? I want to be able to say, I think that I was a buyer that you represented, and I think that you could have done better. But I don't want you to know who it was that's giving you that review. It could have been anybody that you've worked with in the past. So keeping that review process anonymous and a lot more open to criteria, not necessarily be so subjective like, did I like you or did I not like you? I want to know, did you negotiate for me? You know, did you get me the best possible deal? Did you get me the highest possible price? Did you take care of all the paperwork for me? You know, give me some criteria that I need to excel at in order to get a high review. And therefore, I can set my standards to say, okay, I want to do these 5 things in order to get a 5-star review. And if I only did 4 of them well, I should only get 4 stars. Or if I only did 1 of them well, I should only get 1 star. So having that criteria be more objective as opposed to subjective, where you're looking at it and saying, okay, I've got 5 specific things. Unfortunately, none of the large portal companies, none of the MLSs, nobody, to the best of my knowledge, has been able to go in and present a rating system that's comprehensive, that can tell me, first off, how do you do? How did you do? Last year, well did you do compared to all the other real estate professionals in Las Vegas?
Right.
You know, I don't know. Is it based on how many properties you sold? Well, some teams out there can, as we know, sell 1,000 properties.
Because there's 50 agents, and they all put the team leader public ID or the MLS ID in there, and then they all look like that one agent sold all the properties when it was really the efforts of 50 people. And when you call that agent to list your house, you may not get that agent. Matter of fact, you won't get that agent. You'll get someone on their team, and you don't know how that person did on the team. All you know is that the team as a whole sold 100 properties, but you don't know how that one agent, whether one of theirs were the good ones or not good ones.
Right.
Like it's, okay.
Right, so keeping that in mind is that, yeah, you may be talking to the Kristian Peter team, but you're not talking to me, you're talking to my assistant. Okay. Or my listing agent, or my buyer specialist, or whoever it is on my team that you happen to be working with. Second off, you know, even if you didn't sell any properties last year, you still may be a fantastic agent, right? But how do I know that? Is it because you know more about Las Vegas than anybody else? Is it that you are better at valuing properties than anybody else? Is it that you have a better team than everybody else? Right. I want to know what makes you the best agent. Maybe you just are more of a go-getter. You go to every single property in your area and you know every single home that's on the market. And that's what you specialize in. If a new property comes on the market, you're there tomorrow, you're looking at it, you're evaluating it, you're seeing if you have a buyer for it, you're seeing all the different aspects of the market, what they listed it for, what you think it's worth, all of those things that are coming into mind. So, especially if you're a newer agent, right? How do I compete if I'm a brand new agent to Todd Miller, who's been established and sold thousands of properties in Las Vegas? How do I get a listing? You know, who's going to trust me? Well, I want to be able to show, hey, look, I visited every property in all of Red Rock, and I know this market and this area better than anybody else. I may have not sold a property here before, but look, I've been to all these properties. I've valued all these properties. I've helped buyers in these properties. So being able to rate agents according to maybe not how well they've done in the past, but what they're currently doing.
Okay.
That's very difficult, but to get that done so that we know, because you may have done really well 5 years ago, but today, not so well. Right. You know, I want to know who's doing really well today, and how do I get that information? And it's very, very difficult to come by, as you know, some of the portals that you mentioned have failed at it, and really it hasn't been, you know, for lack of effort. Everybody's tried to crack the code of how do we get an agent rating? How do we rank an agent? How do we rank a title company? How do we rank a lender?
We are ranking crazy in this country. We rank everything. We rank sport teams. We rank, like, you cannot find, you know, that's why Yelp and places like that are crazy, because everyone wants to be ranked. You know, people fill out their bracket for the the NCAA tournament, and then you get ranked based on how many you picked right? We're ranking, everything's rankings.
Exactly.
And we're trying to take something subjective, potentially, how well a real estate agent did, you know, and two agents each sold a house, but, you know, they each have a sale, but does that mean they're the same? Probably not.
No.
Yeah, so that's a good question. And none of the things you mentioned are really... except for how many houses did I kind of sell recently. That's about the only thing these kind of ranking systems have looked at, other than, oh, well, reviews. But the problem with reviews are, you know, I'm not going to, you know, get or ask for a bad review.
Correct.
Or I'm going to ask for reviews from people that I know that I never sold anything to or never represented. Just, hey, can you write me a review? Here's a link. Just fill it out.
Friends and family.
I'll send you a Starbucks gift card.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, how many times would you ask for a review from somebody that you didn't know? You know, right. Maybe they did have a good experience, but maybe they didn't. So you're going to ask from people that you do know. You know, your friends, your family members, your really good clients, the people that you've had a relationship with. So those are the people that are typically going to review you really well.
Or some other agent who you're competing with in a market, you know, goes and makes some fake reviews, you know, puts them on there. Not to say that didn't happen to me on Yelp, but it did. So, and you know, you have no idea who this person is, and none of it makes sense, but they gave you 1 star. And then you're like, I don't know who this is, but it's under your name, and then other people see it, and you get moved down, they get moved up, or whatever. It's arbitrary, not under the agent control.
Yes, yes, definitely.
So
The review process is it's very difficult, and I do believe that at some point there will be a system so that people can evaluate real estate agents, real estate professionals, real estate appraisers, lenders, escrow title companies, all of the real estate process that happens, all the people involved, all the services that are provided. It's very difficult for me as a consumer to say, I want this person to represent me in this $500,000 transaction.
right.
How do I know that this is the right person for me? And how do I know this is the right title company? And how do I know this lender is not going to, charge me an extra point?
Yeah, like you could be number one in a zip code because there was a condo complex that you like sat in the office, like you were the on-staff sales realtor. So you cranked through a bunch of those units, and then within that zip code could be a guard-gated country club. So when someone types in that zip code, you show up number one. You sold 25 houses in the last year, and the number two agent sold 5. Mm-hmm. But now that 5 may have sold them all in the country club, and you may have never sold in there, but someone says, hey, you're number one in that zip code, I got a house in the zip code. You're like, oh yeah, I specialize in the zip code.
Right.
But you don't really specialize in that house, and you may be in the next zip code over, and that's what you specialize in, but in this zip code you don't show up at all.
Correct. And one of the biggest aspects of any real estate agent is their ability to farm, as we know. And
right.
Farming takes on a different meaning to different people, but usually in my vocabulary, farming means how much money did you spend to get a certain amount of business in a certain area. So for me in San Diego, if you want to be in La Jolla and you want to sell a $5 million house, you're going to spend a lot of money in marketing in order to try to find that $5 million seller and that $5 million buyer. But does that necessarily mean I'm the best real estate agent in La Jolla?
Right.
No, it just means that I outspent them marketing-wise in order to find that buyer and that seller in that area. I can't really represent to you that I'm number one in La Jolla, but I can represent to you I spent $800,000 marketing in La Jolla last year in order to get 15 property listings, which, a lot of people, they will outspend their competition. I can't fault them. It is a business that we're in. But you want to know who spent the money to get the business and who actually was the best real estate professional and did it by word of mouth and reputation and hard work and being